Magda Kleiner Report. Welcome our guest, Jeremy Bradshaw, the chairman of Britain Club. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Adel.
We just been talking about the marathon. One person died. I was the hottest in 38 years. Did you run the marathon?
No, I didn't, but I was with them. I was with Mo Farah, urging him on, and delighted to see he got a British record.
Did you provide him with a bottle of water, or you want to have a selfie with him?
I'd love to have a selfie, but I'd love to have one with you first. I haven't had one yet.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Britain Club. Actually, the first time we mentioned Britain Club to our international viewers, can you tell us a bit about Britain Club?
Yeah, the Britain Club is a centre-right conservative organisation which likes to promote debate and discussion on...
Like a think tank?
Yes, we like to promote debate on topical issues, just like your show here.
Oh, thank you very much.
We try to be as cutting edge as you, but I see you've got the extra edge on us. But it is actually how we met, isn't it?
Absolutely. Actually, it was Nigel Evans, the MP, who introduced us, and he still apologized for it, but never mind. No, I also you organized many dinners and luncheons, which I attended. Can you tell us more about how you actually organized them and what we discussed? Yeah.
Well, we've done quite a few Middle Eastern events where we try to discuss the major happenings that are always going on in the region. And we get key players from across the region and across the political spectrum within Britain to discuss generally the way forward. And we haven't made a lot of progress, but we keep that spirit of optimism and inquiry. But essentially, the Middle East is always in danger of flaring up. And Georgia was better than war, as Churchill said. Very good.
And Britain Club is actually a friend of the Arabs. On now the other issue which we've been talking about, which is the split in the cabinet and is the European Union trying with this Irish borders and keeping Britain in the customs union, i.e. keeping Britain in the EU?
Well, as everybody appreciates, the story of Britain and the EU has been tortuous from day one. We didn't want to join it, we then joined it, we then wanted to leave it, but we voted to stay in 1975, 1 year, 2 years after we'd entered it. We then have a referendum more recently, less than 2 years ago, and we voted by a very thin margin to leave it.
I wouldn't say thin margin, it was quite a large one, 1.4 million. That is the largest.
Well, it was roughly 51%. Yeah. That's what I call a very tight margin.
Oh, I see. I see you changing your mind now.
I haven't expressed a view yet, but thanks for telling me what it is. No, but the problem is that we spent all the time when we were a member trying to opt out.
Right.
And now we are going to be out of it. We're trying to work out how to opt back in all sorts of different areas. And it's a very unsatisfactory situation for everybody, whether you're a Brexiteer or a Remainer.
I could have been put it better, my learned friend. Actually, Jeremy is a lawyer by profession. Good point to actually take a break here so you can digest all this undigestible analysis by a lawyer. Take a short break now and get back to you after the break. Thank you. And back to our guest, Jeremy Bradshaw. Thanks for staying with us. We just before we go into the Royal Baby, we've been talking about this story where the prisoners are playing all the cards in Les Miserables. People are split about it, you know. Is it a punishment or is it actually educating the convicts? Where do you stand?
Well, first of all, the fact that they could charge £70 for this performance is remarkable, because that's like more than a whole day's work if you're on the minimum wage. Second, who are the people that can afford 70 quid for a family, you know, for each ticket? Right. Third, that is the rate you would pay commercially if you were going out to the West End to the theatre. And these guys were, these 16 inmates of this Surrey prison, they were able to put on a performance like this after about a month's practice, I think it is. It raises questions about the professionals.
Absolutely.
And then finally, if the prison services are so good at this, why are they so bad at actually stopping drugs getting into the prison service, because there's an absolute epidemic of drug taking and all the rest of it going on inside the prison service. Yet, you know, they turn a blind eye to that. Yet there seems to be this creative genius somewhere wrapped up in the service, which allows this type of performance. So it's to be celebrated, I think.
I celebrated. Oh, I was just about to say I can hear Mrs. Mary Whitehouse protesting in her grave. Man, now she's turning in her grave. Now, to the royal baby.
Yes.
Well, first of all, actually, right, anyway, isn't Princess Charlotte cute?
But she is, but that's not the baby.
That's not the baby.
I thought it was a newer one.
Actually, I'm behind times. Right, there's the newer one.
And in fact, a boy.
It's a boy, absolutely. The Peeps the light to the throne. Names. Thinking of any names? Are you? I mean,
well, if Adele's not good enough.
No, it's not good enough because it's a unisex name. That's the problem.
Perhaps Arthur, which of course is your son's name.
It's my son's name, right?
It's not the photographer they'll be naming the prince.
Well, Prince Charles is Charles Philip Arthur George. So it's actually it's part of his grandfather's name.
Well, he's got quite a few names to choose from. So
well, George they already have.
Well, I think they've shown Hanoverian taste so far, so I suspect they may stick to that. So I suspect it will be Frederick rather than...
Frederick. What about Philip, great-grandfather? Shouldn't be in the name instead somewhere?
I think the Duke of Edinburgh has for too long been known by hacks, such as yourself, Adele, as Phil the Greek. I'm not sure we need Phil the second Greek.
One thing for sure, they're not going to call him Jeremy, because Jeremy Corbyn, not because of you.
Well, I mean, Jeremy is a prophet's name, and it goes back to the Old Testament. And I think it's to be used sparingly and with good taste. Yes.
And that's a good taste, but at the moment he's seen as a prophet of doom because of His Majesty's opposition leader.
Well, I think he's the black sheep that proves the rule that normally Jeremys are of much higher quality and calibre. Yes, I accept your point. Right, okay. I think that's what you're trying to say.
Absolutely. Right, your wife, God bless her, Heather, is expecting soon. What are you going to choose? Are you going to choose the Paddington St Mary's Hospital?
Well, strange enough, we're going to choose the Princess Charlotte Hospital in off Hanger Lane. Yes,
that's quite far away.
Well, it's the best. And you know, Mrs. Bradshaw's always happy with the best, and I have to just follow orders on these sort of things, Adele.
Absolutely. My father used to refer to my mother as the Home Secretary.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, speaking of the Home Secretary, you know that tradition that was broken this time? The Home Secretary did not go to the hospital to check that it is a male heir and really, really born, and he is.
But I think there's a very obvious reason. Essentially, Kate was more dynamic than any other mother could be. She probably just grabbed the baby and was up and out because she was the fastest princess out of a hospital in history.
Or because the Home Secretary Amber Rudd was being grilled and shish kebabbed by the MPs in the House of Commons.
I'm not sure about these technical terms you're using from the street, I think. But
we are actually
I think
conscious here.
You shouldn't be asking for the royal family to stick with the old traditions like they had in the court of Louis XIV. And you know, I mean, the poor man couldn't go to the lavatory without having all his courtiers around him. It was all part of the process. The British royal family is more advanced. They don't need the Home Secretary to be there on the big day.
But it was there. Actually, the Home Secretary was there with the Prince George. It's tradition. You have to check. That is actually. Well, he's got fifth in line, not been our lifetime.
I mean, there are some very interesting things about this. First of all, the stellar performance of the Duchess of Cambridge. She looked radiant and magnificent, and as I said, very fast off the sticks to come out of the hospital 6-7 hours after the birth. Second, the timing of this thing was remarkable because the baby was born on St George's Day.
Yes, and George was taken.
The baby was born after the weekend that the Queen celebrated her 92nd birthday, and the Queen didn't interfere with the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting that happened a few days earlier. So I think this is an incredible
timing of events.
Baby, but very typical of the royal family. That is why they're so loved, and they're part of our national story.
I cannot disagree with that. One final question. You know the story that another Duchess, Camilla, who will be the Queen consort when King Charles became King Charles III. She has seen a ghost, and that's why she stopped going to the house in Dunfermline.
Well, let's hope the ghost wasn't called Diana.
You may possibly say so. I can possibly comment.
No, but she's very used to dealing with unloved and sad institutions, because some people thought the Prince of Wales was like this, and she's generally been remarkable for the way that she's brought joy, happiness, and discretion to her role, and huge support for Prince Charles. And the fact that he's turned around this Georgian house from its dilapidated state and spent 65 million on it and made it a national institution is a great credit to him. But it's very surprising that she's not actually supportive, it sounds like, of this particular project.
Well, you cannot have a castle or a palace in Scotland without a ghost. That's part of tradition. Jeremy, we thank you very, very much for enriching the show and honoring us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And follow Britain Club and follow us on the Facebook, Min London, and on Twitter at Adel Darwish, one word. This is all what we have, and see you next week. Goodbye.